Welcome to Multifamily Grit, where we bring in the experts to share the pros and cons and celebrations and struggles of one of the most important industries in the U.S., multifamily property management. I am joined today by Latrice Leake, Learning and Development Specialist at Mission Rock Residential, a multifamily company focused on providing high-quality apartment homes and delivering exceptional service to their residents, clients, and their team. Latrice has been a shining light in the multifamily industry since 1998, and through her career, she has worked at leading multifamily firms and constantly been recognized for her passion, leadership, and drive to create success. Latrice is a firm believer in helping those around her find their passion, whether that's through her L&D position, her DEI initiatives, the books she has written, yes, books, or serving those in need in her community. Latrice isn't stopping with just finding her own success. Today, we'll discuss a few of these topics and more with Latrice, starting with a discussion on energy. Everything from reading someone's energy, maybe even mine, to how we use our energy to show up in life, to how drastically normalized energy has changed in the industry over the past 5 years. And before we get started, we are sponsored today by the only core property management operating system built with an emphasis for affordable owners and operators. Fortress revolutionizes affordable management by reducing lead to lease time by 30% for affordable units to help save you time, generate cash flow, and watch your team succeed. So, and don't forget, if you like what you hear today, please like, subscribe, and share this with someone that you might think would enjoy this episode. So, Latrice, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thanks for having me, Kerri. I'm really excited.
Yeah, same. Before we dig in, because I have got so many great questions to ask you. Before we dig into that, would you mind sharing with our listeners how you got your start in the multifamily industry?
Wow. I actually worked at a jeans store. It was called County Seats here in Maryland,
Okay.
and it was not for me. Those Levi jean people were so like, they were really picky. And honestly, like it was the same in property management. But I think anyone that's kind of gotten themselves in property management and gotten like stuck there,
Yeah.
it's like you either love it or you don't love it.
Yeah.
And I got into property management part-time leasing in high school, and I've never done anything else since.
Oh,
It's been my go-to. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I feel like you said that about property management multifamily. I feel like retail's the same. Like either you like retail or you hate
Yes,
retail. Like either it's for you or it's
exactly.
not.
And it was not at all. I love the greeting people part, but it was tough. But property management, I settled right in. It was one of those things like if it sticks, that's where you're supposed to be.
Why do you think
So
it's stuck for you?
I think it stuck for me because I loved like listening to what people's needs were, and then I was able,
Oh,
I know the perfect apartment, I know the perfect house, and then I was able to like exercise my troubleshooting muscle, which I've
yeah.
developed really strongly over my long time in property management. Just being able to kind of match people with like the perfect home. I'm also a matchmaker in dating, so it's just a matchy thing. I enjoy matching people with the perfect home.
Ugh, I love
So,
it. I love it. I feel like this whole matching concept leads really well into the first thing I was going to talk to you about, which is
okay,
energy. So you and
energy.
I had a quick call to just talk about things you're passionate about, and right away you were like, "Girl, energy." So, tell me, what does that mean to you?
I believe that energy is our investment in the earth. I
Okay.
believe that when you show up in a certain energy, it's almost like me planting an orange tree and getting upset when apples grow, like an apple tree grows.
Yeah.
It's like what you put out there is literally what you're getting back. And I think a lot of us operate in a victim mindset where we're like, oh, the world is giving me this and life is giving me this. But your energy is the investment that literally determines what you get back. And
Yeah.
so adjusting my attitude has been something that has been the catalyst to such a better life, to
Yeah.
such a more, just so much more ease. I know I forget the woman's name, I don't want to mess it up, but she talks about living in your ease and living in your truth and living in a flow. And I think when we are determined, despite whatever happens around us, when we are determined to stay in our flow, to stay in our ease, to move, because movement, energy, it's all a currency. When we stay in that vein, only goodness can come to us. And even if something that comes, almost could feel like it's something that's that to buffet us or to distract us or to harm us. Even those things can be working for our good when we understand what's happening. So,
Yeah, I love it. When did your energy change? You said that when you were able to get in control of your energy, it changed your life. When did that happen?
around 2022, I was just kind of like frustrated. Like certain things were not going my way in relationships. I felt like friend groups. I was connecting with people, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, and I said a prayer, and I was like, what is happening? Like, am I? Why am I connected to these kind of people? And what's happening? And at first, I blamed myself, just kind of saying like I'm the common denominator, it must be something wrong with me, and I began to just kind of settle into it and quietly ask, and I came to understand that it was literally what I was putting out there, being like codependent, latching on to people and just being so like needy of their energy as opposed to just kind of watching the interaction. I think sometimes we're like, oh, that person was never my friend. They pulled the wool over my eyes. And the whole time, like the red flag will flag if you watch
Yeah.
and you calm down and you center yourself. And so I've learned since that time how to watch, how do I feel when I'm after I finish a conversation with someone? How do I feel? What do they stir in me? Do I feel energized, inspired, excited, or do I feel defeated, almost hated on, right? And so life is all about energy. And some of us who, maybe have certain beliefs, some people say it's, the fruit of the spirit or the anointing or whatever it is, whatever you believe. But 9 times out of 10, if you break it down to what it is, it's energy. It's literally energy and
Yeah.
how people show up.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. I'm a big believer in energy too.
Yeah.
But when we first started our conversation, our quick 30-minute call where we were just getting to know each other. I mean, mainly to find out if we liked each other enough to spend an hour on a
Yeah.
podcast together.
Goodbye.
You immediately kicked off with comments about my energy. So, you know a lot about energy. You've studied it. You've been living in it for the past like 3 years. What did you think about my energy?
Well, let me give the people a little bit of background.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, as a little girl, my mom, there was this saying, stay in a child's place, because I grew up around all adults, but I knew that certain conversations I could not insert myself in. But there would be times where I would just kind of say things, and it was like, how does she know that? Like, where did she get that from?
Oh, okay.
I remember kind of warning someone about smoking. I was like,
Yeah,
you keep smoking such, and such happened. And people were like, this little girl knows something.
yeah. It's a little
So when I
creepy.
actually, it is kind of creepy, but it's only for good.
I
It's
love
always good.
it.
So anyway, but I've used that gift to help people. And so when I first saw you, I was like, oh, this girl's such a powerhouse. Like I was intrigued. And it's funny because I saw you on demo day for
Yeah,
Multifamily Insiders. And I was like, this girl has something. You have such a dynamic quality about you. And it's so funny because you will intimidate many people, but it will literally be the energy that you bring will literally be like something that kind of demolitions. It will go before you. Like who you are, what you
mm,
carry. I think a lot of times we're like, man, why does this always happen when I show up? And it's literally like a grace that's on your life, the energy, whatever you want to call it. It's literally who you have been hardwired to be in the earth. And
mm.
so, if that means that stuff's got to get torn down to be built back up the right way, that's what's going to happen. I really believe that's what you are creating. Even just the name fortress, if you think about what a fortress is, like being a fortified city, the walls are strong. Nothing from the outside can penetrate. The only thing that you've got to do is make sure that everything that's within the fortress has the same intention, has the same goal, and what you'll build will literally, we won't even believe today what it will be tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about what you're doing. I don't want to get carried away, but you know,
No, no, I love this. I love this. And you said something, um, about me that, and I swear to you, I was not doing this for rooting for compliments at all. But you just said something
no,
and I was glad you did it because it, it kind of hurt, honestly. Not that you hurt me, so I don't want you to think that, but it hurt because it's something that I've struggled with, which is, like, intimidating people. Like, I don't wanna do that, and I actually think it's extremely disadvantageous to me and to Fortress and to my company and to my team that, like, if I'm in a meeting and that means that the meeting is less honest or transparent or because people are intimidated or scared or whatever else that word implies. That sucks. How do I how can I? Can I fix that? Can I stop that?
I don't think that it's I don't think that it's anything that you are doing. And I think you being who you are is the best thing that you can be because
Yeah.
who you are is what literally, I guess, activates the atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm a person that brings not chaos to bring destruction, but literally like chaos to unveil some underbelly things that are happening, right? If that's who you are and that's who you show up as, you're doing exactly what you've been created to do.
Yeah.
And so I think it's more about it tells who people are if they allow outside influences to change who they are, to make them less genuine, to make them lie. That really does reveal who they are. And so if they work for you, oh, if
Yeah.
they just happen to, if they're a competitor or a business that you're maybe considering working with, that's a revealer. That's revealing to you the type of people that you'll be doing business with. And so I think it's a gift. Um, and when we lean into who we are, when we lean into our gifts, as opposed to being afraid or allowing people to intimidate us, we literally we set other people up to be themselves. It's like, you
Yeah.
know what? When I'm around her, I feel like we talked about the vibes. I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel so comfortable on this podcast. I've done
Yeah.
others in the past, and I was like, oh, I'm so nervous, but I felt such an excitement because I enjoy who you are and how you show up. And so
Yeah. Well,
you're for who you're for,
yeah.
and if they can't get with it, fine less.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. And
Absolutely.
we talked a little bit about the fact that I'm a big fan of Frederick Dodson's Levels of Energy. Actually, one of my team members recommended that book to me, and I read it. And in reading it, I realized that I do have a lot of energy, a lot. And it can, to your point, be very like you got to tear things apart in order to get them back to where they need to be. And it can come off intense and even aggressive. And I don't want to use that word in a derogatory way. It's just like it's a lot. Like it's very forward in your face type energy. And I realized that for a lot of my life, the source of that energy was kind of a negative place. Like I felt like I had to prove something, I had to overcome, like it came from a base level of energy, and I've been so grateful to have a lot of change happen in my life over the past 5 years, including finding meditation and doing a lot of reading and learning about myself and the universe. And so now I'm in a much better place. And so now, to your point, I'm still that same person. Like I'm still aggressive. Like I'm still hungry. Like I still push the boundaries. I still am a lot to deal with. But it comes from a much better place now because I'm happier. And I've found that. So I think to your point, like harnessing your own energy, choosing your own energy, and showing up with the right energy can be transformative.
And I think our society frames the same energy in women's bodies as a negative thing. If it was in a man's body, it would be
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
he's so powerful, he's a great leader. But if we do it, sometimes it's like looked down upon. And so
Yeah.
we have to be, I hate to be all deep, but sometimes you gotta unplug from that matrix and say,
Yeah.
you know what, this is a good attribute. There's
Yeah.
some little girl that's looking up at your picture, like the little girl looking up at Michelle Obama, like, one day I could be this. One day I could lead a business. And so, um, us reframing how we show up, it almost gives us more permission to continue to show up. And then
Yeah.
not only continue to show up, but show up in our fullness. Like, what are you shrinking for? Like, is there an area that maybe you're shrinking in?
Yeah.
Maybe it's like giving feedback or being more transparent, or maybe if you get in a room full of, other CEOs, but they're men, and you're like, let me just tone it down, or let me not give a comment. You know what? Bump that.
Yeah.
Show up fully as who you are.
Yeah.
You are, I don't know your mom's name, but you're that person's baby. Show up as that person and just, who doesn't like it? Whatever. They'll
Yeah.
either join you or move out of your
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think you're right, but I think it's important to acknowledge that it's, you know, I think it's even okay that, people can be uncomfortable with women having extremely masculine tendencies, Like
way.
I just think that there is like masculine energy and feminine energy. And I think that society still struggles a little bit with the
Agreed.
women and men exhibiting too much of the energy that it doesn't feel natural, that like we're not accustomed to that person having for, um essentially like centuries of time. And so we're still getting used to it. And I think wrapping our mind around allowing people to be who they are and not having to conform to what society has said for centuries. But I think acknowledging that, just being open about it and saying like that,
It's okay.
yeah,
As
yeah,
long as I'm grounded, I think
yeah,
I think the problem comes when we're not grounded and we don't have people around us to hold us accountable.
yeah.
If you become this big headed monster, that's different. But you knowing who you are,
Yeah,
it's nothing wrong with that. And
yeah,
so people will try to make you feel away.
yeah.
Even I know with men, being empathetic and being
Mhm.
compassionate, it's like, what's wrong with him? No, what's
Yeah.
wrong with you
Yeah,
to
yes.
feel like only a person of a certain gender could be detail oriented or have
Mhm,
compassion.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so, um, finding that and understanding who you are is one of the most important things. Who are you? What is your energy, Latrice?
I am, I feel like I'm a force.
Mhm.
Not always the kind that plummets through, but almost like that stream of water that kind of goes over the rock and eventually the rock breaks. Um, some may not agree with that. They might say, "Girl, you bulldoze through," but I try to temper it because I understand that there are certain levels for certain environments. But I really feel like I am that force. I am the person that gets behind people. I love affirming people.
Mhm.
That is like one of my gifts. That's one of my
I can
passions.
see
And
that.
seeing people, yeah,
Yeah.
seeing people literally bloom into the fullness of who they are. Even like tracking the progress. Like I'm that person, I will be like, I remember back on February the 1st of 2020 when you were like this, and now look what you've done. Look who you are. Look what you've accomplished. And they're like, oh crap, I didn't even realize, I had done all these things, or, so that's who I am. I
Yeah.
enjoy seeing the greatness in other people realize.
Yeah, I love that. Well, tell me, how does that play into your role that you have today at Mission Rock? Tell me a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So I'm an L&D specialist with Mission Rock, and our department trains the systems. We also train soft skills.
Mhm.
So a lot of times, I'm identifying some opportunities for improvement, whereas
Yeah.
I may be pulling reports to see, oh, someone's missing something, or maybe we're not finishing this process or being completely efficient. And so I'm able to kind of dial into the teams and develop some of them and I love like pulling the numbers and showing them where they're completely rocking it at, right? Because it's like, look at what you're doing. This is crazy. And a lot of times, they're just there doing the work. Some of them may not know how to really see the impact or get that return on their investment. But for me, it's so rewarding being able to take someone who may, have one closing ratio, and then I do a training with them and I come back. And now I'm measuring the impact of that training.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah.
being able to see like the growth and the potential and then continuing to speak into them, that is like one of the most rewarding parts of what my department does. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And it feels like, you're able to have your hand in kind of a few different things that are going on at Mission Rock. So you mentioned to me that you are super passionate about, DEI initiatives and that you're a part of that task force. Is that right? Did I get that? Okay.
yeah.
The task force at Mission Rock. So tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So, our company is very invested in diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
And we are just looking to make a more equitable multifamily management company,
Okay.
whatever that means for the moment. But there's a focus to ensure that everyone has a seat at the table, an opportunity
Mhm.
to lead. We do a lot of building the bench, and so just ensuring that people have those opportunities. Maybe if they don't have the experience, but they demonstrated a certain aptitude or just great leadership skills. A lot of our leaders will kind of look in and say, "Oh, wow, this person is a great candidate. Maybe they haven't been developed, but being able to not only have like certain picks or only certain people get invited to lead. I think it just creates this magical thing. And I'm so passionate about my company. Like people are always like, "Are you serious?" Like I am so serious about what we do here. And I think it ties back into our leadership. Pat Hutchison, Meredith Wright, like these are like powerhouses in our industry. They're at NAA, they're like within the legislation speaking up for not just Mission Rock, but other companies. And so I feel like what we're doing here is leading the path. And a lot of times, because Pat is on the DEI task force, she'll say, "I got a call from another CEO and they're asking us how we're doing what we're doing." And so it's a beautiful thing kind of leading in an area that other organizations may not see value in yet or may have seen value in and changed their minds. But yeah,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, we're doing great things here.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I love what you said about building the bench. That's not easy. I mean, a lot of times we want to promote from within as much as possible, but there's a lot of there can be a lot of pushback on that, when someone doesn't have that experience. So, how does Mission Rock go about building that bench? How do you train people to be ready for that next level of leadership?
Sure. So one thing that I love is that within our we call Rock U, we have access to every level of training. So say like you're a leasing consultant and okay, this is not my final stop at Mission Rock. I want to
Yeah.
be an assistant manager. You can actually sign up and take the next level of training, like for systems you can go right into Rock U and take the next level of training so that when the opportunity opens up, you're more so ready. Not only that, but then our managers are doing a lot of cross training. So before you would have gotten a promotion, you would have already learned how to post rent, do a final deposit accounting statement. Like we really let them dig in and sit with the leaders within their community or within our organization so that when that time comes, not only do they know how to do the work, but their confidence is up,
Yeah.
as opposed to, "Here you go, take it, see you later." Like a lot of
Yeah.
companies, when they promote from within, it kind of feels like they're just thrown into the position. And we never want people to feel ill equipped to do a wonderful job. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And then you mentioned that, Pat is on the DEI task force with you. So what
she
sort
is.
of, would you mind sharing an initiative or two that you guys have rolled out, through that task force
Sure.
and how successful or maybe even not successful they've been?
Sure. So one thing that I love that we did, we connected with the C-suite, which was an amazing company that kind of comes in and they assess like where you are, like what are you doing, what do your hiring processes look like, are the job descriptions that are written, are they inclusive? Would this um, be a job that maybe someone from a marginalized community feel comfortable applying for. So basically, they came in and we did an assessment. We asked every single rocker, every employee, what their thoughts were. How do you view Mission Rocks? Do you feel like you're included? Do you feel like there are opportunities for improvement? What are some things that DEI could do better? And we not only listen to the feedback, because I know a lot of times people say your voice counts, your vote counts, and then at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like it because maybe the person that gave the negative feedback or not so pleasant feedback, their feedback is not as, catered to as the one that says, you're doing great. And we do more of what they say is great. We took all of the feedback and literally changed our processes.
Wow.
HR rolled out a new talent management system
Oh,
where we
wow.
do our annual reviews a little bit differently. Our applications are different. Our job descriptions are different. And so I think Mission Rockets has a wonderful way of taking it all, whether
Yeah.
it's good, bad, or indifferent, and moving and making things happen. So we did that. And we've done so many things. We've kind of outlined a more structure in our promotion process because you mentioned that a lot of times people are just like picking at other companies. It felt like people were just picking their favorite people as opposed to every person having transparency on how does the promotion process work. Will someone else be given, the job without any other person being able to interview? And so, of course,
Yeah.
that's not the case here. But just having more transparency, I think it's been amazing, and we've got a lot of good feedback from our team.
Yeah.
Something that didn't work, that we've had, and I hate to say it that way because it's all been good, girl. But I don't think there's anything that hasn't necessarily worked out. I think in the beginning, we were a little afraid to try.
Mm.
So it was like, is this legal? That was the thing.
Yeah.
I think that didn't work.
Mm.
And once we kind of like just jumped out of the window and began to fly, it's like, it's working.
Yeah.
I think being afraid, I think maybe, and not afraid as if we didn't want to do it, but more so afraid to try new things because we didn't want to offend anyone. We
Mm-hmm.
wanted to kind of be very safe. And sometimes staying in that safe pocket, it doesn't allow you to figure out what's right or wrong. Sometimes that mistake is the greatest gift that
Yes.
you could give yourself.
Yeah. I
So
was actually gonna say I love that you were um thinking so outside the box that question had to come up, right? Like that you guys were coming up with ideas that were so um almost like just the freedom of like coming up with ideas, just the freedom to create space to um ideate on like what you could possibly do, that you even had to step back and say, well, hold on, is that even legal? Like who's gonna
right,
who's gonna
right.
how is everyone gonna feel about this? I think that's great. And I say all the time, if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. So absolutely. I
Exactly.
think those
Exactly.
mistakes are some of the best things that you can possibly do. So I love that.
Especially mistakes that are filtered through great intention.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
when you
so well
just make
said.
mistakes because you're just doing whatever,
Yep.
it gets a little iffy. But when you have good intentions for every person, I think those mistakes, they're actually gifts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I love that. Um, so, leaning into the concept of being really passionate and kind of pushing outside the box, you have written a couple of books. Now there's one, uh, well, I guess I shouldn't say that because I don't know. I haven't read them yet. I'm so sorry. But you and I just met last week. So it's not,
yes, yes.
it's
You're
not like I
fine.
should have yet. But one of them is called 50 Shades of Pink. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, first and foremost, how in the world did you find the time and the energy to write a book? How did you do it?
So I first became a published author in 2012.
Okay.
So I've had some time. I had five published books.
Okay.
And again, since 2012. So that's a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
I think writing is a passion of mine. I think I used to just kind of like write my thoughts in like random notebooks and never come back, and then maybe come back 5 years later, like, oh, that was a good thought. I should have done something with it. And people kept saying, Latrice, you have to write. You have to write something. And so I just one time did it. I just was like, here we go. If it's bad, nobody will buy it. But if we're gonna do this. We're doing this. Are we doing this? We're doing it. And so there was that. Fifty Shades of Pink is actually a compilation book,
Okay.
and it is a group of women. And we don't assign shades, but we all show up as a different shade, you know? Like some of us are fuchsia, bright, showy, some of us are blush pink, some of us are baby pink, whoever you are. And so I allowed the women to kind of come in and share their life experiences, their pains,
Oh,
their
wow.
joys. And when I tell you the book is a real tearjerker, we did a read along with all the ladies, and when I tell you it was when I say a struggle, like that was struggle of this was a struggle just getting through reading the book because there were tears. Like one lady was like wailing in the background. We were like, okay, we're gonna wait until it was rough.
Oh, wow.
But women, we're so resilient. And
Yeah.
so we've been through so much. And you never really know who a woman is until you give her space to tell her story.
Yeah.
And that's what the book does.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So that's a compilation. Do you want to share any of the other or anything about any of the other books you've written?
Sure. So I have Prophetic Waters for the Thirsty Soul. I have another prophetic book, Prophetic Love Letters to an Orphan Generation.
Oh,
And
that's
that
interesting.
book, yeah, very cool book. That book is another group of prophetic people and myself writing words from the Father's heart. And so it's like a hug. It's like a warm cup of soup on a cold day when you're not feeling your best.
Yeah.
That's another good book. So yeah, I've put out a couple different
Yeah.
gems.
Well,
So
congratulations. I think that's amazing.
thank you.
I
Thank you.
have contemplated off and on, probably over the past 10 years, writing a book, probably mostly because of all of the crazy, chaotic stories I have from running a property management company and growing that company very quickly over a period of time. I just think it would be a very entertaining, but hopefully also valuable lesson type book. But honestly, like I don't know that, and it's okay. It's okay. So I wouldn't say that's like a big dream of mine. It's just something I've contemplated doing, but I just don't know if I'd be able to do it. So I'm always like so impressed by people who have gotten up the energy and the focus to do it, especially when it's not your full-time job. So and being a mother and having a little boy running around, I know makes things a little
Yes.
bit difficult
So
too.
what if you did it and just held it? What if you just started writing, and if you fall in love with the project, you put it out. If you don't, you just keep it for yourself. I
I
think
love it.
writing is very cathartic. I think
Yeah.
it's a therapy in itself. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes we go to sleep and we have these crazy dreams because our brain is like organizing our thoughts.
Yeah.
I think writing is a way to do that when you're conscious. Like
Okay.
it's a way for your brain to, she wants to hear it. Let's get to her. And then I'm telling you, like, you may feel like, I don't know what to write. I probably can't write the whole thing. When you start, the thoughts will come, the memories will come.
Yeah.
Some of the most amazing people I've met have been in this industry, whether they were
Oh, so
residents, people
interesting.
that I
Yeah.
worked with.
Yeah.
Like I
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
share this story with you, and I'll
Yes.
be quick because I know we have limited time. But there was this woman. Her name was Miss Lisa, and she was an elderly woman, just very jazzy, like always put together. She would have a brooch on, her little earrings.
Oh,
She was the
love it.
cutest little short lady.
Love it.
And she would walk around our community with her dog, and she would come in. And one day we went for an inspection. It was myself and the leasing manager, and she had like Edelweiss, like needle point Edelweiss that she created and put on her wall. It was in a little frame, and I just started singing the song to her. I was like, I don't know what made me do that, but I just started singing Edelweiss, Edelweiss from The Sound of Music. And she's like, oh, she's like, I'm from Austria. She said, actually, I grew up down the hill in the village from where the movie was recorded. And I was like, oh my gosh. I said, so what does Edelweiss? So we started talking about Edelweiss. She goes in the back of her apartment, brings out this little brown envelope that used to be white. It was that old. She opens it up, and the Edelweiss flower was there that her husband gave her before they escaped the Holocaust.
Oh my
Pocket,
gosh.
okay? So she shows me this Edelweiss. I'm like, oh my gosh, you say this all the time. She's like, yes. She's like, we felt the urge to leave. And right before we left, right after we left, our village was captured and her family was sent to concentration camps. And I was like, oh my gosh, beautiful story. I leave, don't think anything else of it. She comes in one day And she had started saying, when I leave, when I go, so she comes in, she's like, I don't know who better to give these to than you. She opens up the envelope and she gives me the Edelweiss that lived through the Holocaust from Austria all the way to America. And it was probably in 2022 when she did this. Carrie, what? Only property management could give us these kind of experiences. And
It's
still to this
beautiful.
day, I am brought to like strong emotions just thinking about her. She did pass,
Yeah.
but before she did, she gave them to me, and she had children that
Yeah.
survived, her. But
Oh my
so,
gosh. That's incredible. It's so
yes,
impactful,
yeah,
the impression that you can make on people. So thank you for sharing that, Latrice. Well, you preempted my question of sharing a story, so I appreciate
okay,
you for doing that. That's
there
perfect.
you have it.
So then now the question that I've started asking this year that I'm super excited about because I just think that there's so many awesome books out there to read. There are just so many. And I think that there's no better place to start than by asking people who I respect and think so highly of what they're reading so that I can figure it out. So, what are you reading right now? Is there a book you'd like to recommend to our listeners, either that you're reading now
Sure.
or that you've read recently, or your favorite book of all time?
I think my favorite book is going to be The Alchemist.
Okay.
I used to hear people talk about The Alchemist. I'm like, what is that? Like, it just sounded spooky and just kind of out of my wheelhouse of what I believe spiritually. And I heard Oprah talking about it. And then, like,
Yeah.
later in that week, I heard Pharrell talking about it. And I was like, maybe I need to read this book. Then I heard Will Smith. I said, okay. So I looked up the book. I downloaded it on Audible because busy mom, I don't
Oh,
have time to read a 800-page
100.
book. It's a big book. And it was so amazing. And just the concepts of how everything is pointed towards getting you to a certain place and all of the dots connect when you look back. I love that kind of stuff. And it was so up my alley. And so The Alchemist, it's such a good book. Everybody should read it. Everybody.
Oh, I love it. That's a fantastic
Yes.
recommendation, and I will absolutely be adding it to my list. So, Latrice, I know I need to let you go because I know you have family obligations, but thank you so much. And family always comes first,
Everything.
period. But thank you so much for spending this time with me today. You said it earlier. I will echo it. You and I hit it off immediately. So this is such a great conversation. I appreciate everything you've shared, analyzing my energy, helping me work through my issues, and sharing so much about your experience and who you are. So thank you so much. I'm sure our listeners are going to love this.
Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate you again.
Thanks, Latrice.